Hello, getting you in my tripod here. Welcome to this live transmission for the full moon. This is a very powerful energy, and I'm excited to jump into it with you all. Let me know if everything's going good with my video and audio. I guess we're just waiting for some people to hop on. Hello, welcome. So the chart itself is in the chart itself is there in the comments, and if you want to take a look at the chart, I'll be talking about it. So this is first of all a very interesting full moon because the full moon is in Aquarius, and the biggest aspect to the full moon is Uranus, which is Aquarius's ruling planet. We're also entering into the age of Aquarius. So there's something very potent and telling about this moon and the energies at work right now. So if you look at when Saturn moved initially into Aquarius back in May, that was when so many of the protests began happening. And Aquarius is here to revolutionize things. So the moon in Aquarius is more about a personal revolution, transforming what's really happening within us. And the planets that are now retrograde in Capricorn are going to move back through Aquarius and add to that energy of powerful revolution. But right now, with this full moon, we have this T-Square aspect, which is the biggest one to talk about first of all. And there's actually two T-squares in the chart. So we have the sun in Leo, and we have the moon in Aquarius, and then we have Uranus and Taurus. Now, the sun and the moon are in 11 degrees Aquarius, and 11 is this master number. It's the teacher number. It's the service number. And 1111 is a portal to ascend to higher dimensions, higher octaves of expression. So there is a big energy of service with this full moon, and that has a lot to do with the Aquarius energy as well. But there is this element of the unexpected with Uranus creating the T-square, and it is just 1 degree in orb, which is very close orb, and we have Uranus in its shadow, pre-shadow, in Taurus. So Uranus and Taurus is restructuring our value systems, it's restructuring financial systems, it's restructuring our relationship to the earth. It's helping us restructure what we value, because whatever Uranus touches, it transforms. Uranus is powerful transformation. So on the collective level, it's about bringing to the surface those issues that aren't working in our value system and in our relationship to the earth. And in our personal life, it is now creating this really dynamic energy to the sun and the moon. And Uranus is also about the unconscious on the personal level. So what are we holding at an unconscious level? Because it will come into manifestation and surprise us. So there is this element to this full moon of big surprise and almost shock. Like, wow, like I didn't really know that I was holding this within me. Or perhaps there can also be an element of collective shock or surprise that something around this time can happen that's very unexpected. So expect the unexpected and be open to it, and don't let yourself be too attached to the structures, because Taurus is about structures, right, that have governed your life to this point. And this is going to be the most potent for people who have planets in this sort of middle of the first and the second decan of fixed signs. So again, it's Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio. And that would... Anyway, I can't even mention all the birthdays. I'm not good at immediately going to which birthdays that would be. But, so unexpected things are coming. And a fixed T-square creates an energy of a deep sense of purpose. Fixed signs can create a sense of stubbornness or tension. Fixed signs can help us settle into something, though the shadow aspect of this fixed energy would being too rigid, too stuck, too fixated in our thinking. So it's important that we allow ourselves to be open. And that kind of leads right into another beautiful aspect, which connects everything at this point. Venus conjunct the North Node in Gemini. You can see it at the upper, slightly to the right corner of the chart if you've pulled up the image. The North Node is it's the node of the moon. It moves every 18 months into a new sign, and it governs where we're focused in our evolutionary trajectory, individually and collectively. And Venus is coming out of its shadow. It went retrograde and is just about to pass over the North Node. So it's highlighting the qualities of the North Node. Now, Gemini is all about seeing things from many perspectives. Gemini takes in all of the information that it can, and it, in a sense, judges, it discerns. It is very logical, very practical, but very curious, excited, interested in things. But Gemini, because it's, these two twins that sometimes oppose each other, doesn't jump to conclusions and doesn't say, oh, this is right or that's right. It sees the good and the bad in both. And that is our evolutionary trajectory we've been in it for now maybe 2 months, and we have 16 more months of this sort of having to open ourselves to many, many perspectives. The opposite of the North Node is always the South Node. The South Node's in Sagittarius, and the shadow of Sagittarius is being dogmatic, rigid in your beliefs, is jumping to conclusions, is pushing your belief systems onto others. Sagittarius is an adventurer. It likes to explore. Sagittarius knows through pure intuition and pure feeling, like, oh, well, this feels right to me. This spiritually is what makes sense to me, so I'm just going to go with it. But Gemini needs to take in all of the information. So the North Node is where we need to be putting our focus, rather than in the South Node, where as the South Node moves through a sign, it shows us where the qualities associated with that South Node are outdated. So going through the South Node in Sagittarius is getting rid of outdated belief systems. We just have to let them go. And you'll see South Node in Sagittarius being really feisty now with the absurdity of how much confirmation bias is out there. That, just looking at the social media, people have already decided what is true for them. And they aren't going to sort of open themselves to the alternative ideas. Many people, at least. People are pushing their beliefs, are fighting about it. If you're not agreeing with me, you're wrong and bad. And, I am ascendant Gemini, so this ability to hold two perspectives is something that's quite natural to me. So I, in a way, may confuse people, because sometimes with these weird issues that are happening, I play to both sides of things because I see the validity in both perspectives. And that's how we're all meant to be evolving right now with this North Node Gemini for, again, 16 more months. So why is this important now? Well, it is quincunxing or semi-squaring or sesquisquaring everything in the chart. And these semi-squares and sesquisquares are influences that aren't always that noticeable, but they're sort of like, that little bit of tension in the background that we can ignore it if we don't put our attention to it, but we're never going to heal if we don't put our attention to it. So it is creating a semi-square. A semi-square is a 45-degree angle. So when we have 45 or 90-degree, or there's 135-degree angles as well, those are tension-creating things that it feels like a constriction or a conflict in the moment, but then it propels us into growth. So we have that big one with the sun, moon, and Uranus, and then in the middle of the sun and Uranus is this semi-square dance between Venus and the North Node. So it's creating this tension because, Leo, for example, the contrast between Leo and Gemini. Now, these are signs that sextile each other normally, but this exact angle will create a kind of tension. And Leo is just like, oh, here I am. Let me put myself in front of things. This is my perspective. This is kind of the fire sign dance. It's like, it's all about me. I already know. I've already got it all cleared up. But the semi-square is asking us to have this more air sign adaptability. Gemini is, in a sense, the most adaptable sign. It's air and it's mutable. And that's the same with Uranus and Taurus. So there's the semi-square, like it's creating this tension between this transformation to our value structures. And it's also quincunx or in conjunct, which is a 150-degree angle. It's the green line from Gemini down into Capricorn, at the very bottom of the chart. And this is a sort of, it's a tension as well, but it's more of a neutralizing tension. It's like, two people that don't have very much in common with each other, being stuck together and having a conversation. So it causes a need to be able to look at both sides quite powerfully. And this Capricorn energy that it's quincunxing or in conjuncting is another huge wave of restructuring those power systems in society, because Capricorn is all about power. If you've listened to many astrology videos, all astrologers are talking right now about the sort of triple retrograde dance of Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto moving backwards through Capricorn is restructuring all of the power systems on our planet. And so the Gemini in conjunct there is, again, causing us to have an open mind to what that is that's really playing out and not pigeonhole ourselves into one thing. And it's also sort of like we may be very mentally uncomfortable with this transformation happening. We may not be able to fit it into our structures of thinking, but we have to open our mind to be able to do that. And there's also, again, this, this 135-degree angle sesquisquare. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. It's hard to say, to the moon. So it's aspecting the North Node, and Venus are aspecting absolutely everything in the chart. And we're going to get back to the North Node and Venus later. But now we touched on the cardinal Earth, Capricorn energies, because this creates a second T-square. So first of all, when you look directly to the top of the chart, if you pulled it up in the comments, Saturn is directly opposing Mercury, and Mercury is with this little asteroid friend Vesta. So Mercury in Cancer is really here to help us get in a deeper degree of sensitivity with our communication. It heightens our communication, our emotional connection to others. It highlights the importance of family. And with Saturn opposing it, it's putting limitations on it. It may feel like this intense coldness. It may feel like, this intense lockdown. All of these things are cutting us off. And we're going to see another wave of this because right now there's Mercury there, so it's affecting our mental layers very much. But as Venus moves forward, Venus is going to move through the same degrees of Cancer and come to oppose all of those things. And Venus is about our love, our values, our true connection with others. So it may be more intense in some months when Venus passes over that point. But for now, it's like, it can be like a mental, how do I even cope with this? How do I incorporate this? How do I bring this into my own life? Because there is just a lot of dynamic tension. And on the other side of this, we have Mars creating this T-square. So we talked about the fixed T-square, and the cardinal T-square is about, moving forward. Cardinal signs initiate things and send them into a new direction. So this is a point to both ground and also to set our trajectory forward. A couple days ago, I talked about the mutable T-square, and that was very spontaneous. It was like a random day that I just looked at the chart and I was like, this looks crazy. So that was a kind of turning point a couple of days ago of, mutables about breaking boundaries and adapting to things. And now cardinal and fixed is like setting into form and sending ourselves in a new direction. So that's what's happening with the cardinal energies. So we have pre-shadow Mars squaring again, Mercury, Vesta, and Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn. And Mars is also united with Eris, Black Moon Lilith, and even Chiron. If you use a 10-degree orb, which I use, Mars is conjunct all of those things, and that's kind of intense. Though what might be even more alarming is, for now, it's an exact square to Jupiter. So this exact square to Jupiter helps us expand into new experiences, and Mars initiates action. Mars is like our will, it's like our drive, it's like, oh, we're going to go out and do it. So it may create the sense of being kind of headstrong or pushing against things, because again, while Jupiter is with Pluto and Saturn, which constrict, but Mars really wants to push against those things. And so, Mars in Aries is all about me and looking for my own personal freedom. It's like Mars in Aries just wants to be free and break the old. And we're seeing this because a lot of people are just fed up with the lockdown. And we saw maybe yesterday or the day before, there was, some reports say hundreds of thousands, and some people say over 1 million protesters in Berlin coming up against the lockdown and saying, we don't want to have this anymore. So there is likely to be both more of this sort of fiery, we don't want this, this is what we stand for, kind of an energy with Mars and Aries coming up against this Capricorn union of these planets that's creating more and more restriction, shutting us down. And simultaneously, what we had in Australia was, I think it's in the Queensland, or I don't know what the states are. It's the Melbourne province, whatever that is. They have one of the strictest lockdowns to date. So there's this energy all around the world lighting up of, I'm pushing against, no, we're putting you back down. And Mars is going to move a little bit further and then go back in retrograde. So there's even more of these moments where Mars is going to keep pushing up against this. Throughout the whole rest of the year, we have Mars and Aries squaring the Capricorn things. So what's happening right now is going to continue. And even some astrologers I've heard saying that, we've actually been in the eye of the storm with the COVID lockdown, whole global situation. Like this past month or so, this has been that point in the middle of the whole thing where we actually are able to get a grasp of what's happening and settle into it a little bit more. And then the initial waves of chaos we first experienced are going to, again, rummage us for the next of 2020. Oh no. Oh, okay. Good. The chart didn't go away. So being prepared for that. Now, Mars is also going to keep passing over Eris and Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith is about instinct. Eris is about discord. So there's this kind of intense, it's kind of bringing more of that drive, more of that passion to the surface, and adding more of the chaos. And it could even indicate war with the squares to the Capricorn things, and Mars retrograde in Aries. Already with all this energy could indicate war. There's, in a sense, already war between different people fighting each other about opinions, but it could get a bit more intense. Okay, there's even more. There's even more. What aspect do I want to talk about next? So, the one aspect, if we turn back to Venus now, who is again in a relationship to all of these energies, Venus is actually sextile to what we were just talking about, the Mars and Aries. So the sextile indicates there can be a union. And if we bring this union between our mind, Gemini, and our ability to see many perspectives with this strong sense of individualism that's coming forward, that energy can be harnessed in a way that it doesn't push and fight against everything. So that union there, the sextile with the North Node to all of those things in Aries, it's like we have to bring a compassionate, a loving use of our mind into this aggression, this unconscious drive, because we have Lilith there. Lilith is unconscious drive as well. Instinctive drive. It's all about this instinctive drive right now. Bring our mind to balance the instinctive drive so it doesn't overwhelm us, and we can use that for greater union. Now, the square between we talked about all the minor little squares because it's directly relating to the chart, but we also have Neptune and Pisces squaring to Venus as well. And Neptune and Pisces is a very expansive energy because Neptune is at home in Pisces, and it's spiritual, mystical, expanding us. We've had this influence for years, and it's going to continue for years. But when it's squaring the North Node in Gemini, it brings out the shadow aspect of this, which is, I've talked about it so much in astrology videos, deception. It's falling prey to illusions. It's, in a way, when we believe our dream and we believe our vision without questioning it. So, on a shamanic path, we kind of learned that we don't immediately want to believe every dream that we have or every medicine journey we have, every vision. We want to kind of take a moment to integrate that and question what's really behind that, and also question how do the layers of the mind create this experience and distort this experience. But some people kind of initiate this spiritual journey without being able to consider that their mind and their belief systems have so much influence on every vision, every synchronicity, everything that's going on is also, influenced by these layers of belief. So in order to wake up out of the illusion, we have to really meditate and reflect and probe deep into our belief systems. And this square kind of invites you to ask yourself, what about my beliefs and my dreams am I not seeing? And take yourself deeper into it so you can really come to see how you may be distorting everything that you're seeing. through your own beliefs that create these blurry perceptions of things. But it is also kind of a happy thing that we have Neptune creating a trine to Mercury and a sextile to the Capricorn, Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto. And so this suggests, like I was saying, when there's this opposing force, it can feel like, our Cancer elements are shut down, our sensitivity, our connection to others are shut down. We're not able to really go into that sensitive space. Though the antidote here is this dreaming. If we get in touch with our dreaming, if we're feeling restricted or shut down or disconnected, our dreaming and our spiritual connection can help us kind of remedy whatever shut down feelings we're having. So it's a time to dream a new dream, because things are going to transform. This planet is continuing to go through this very intense period, and we have to keep ourselves open. And again, like I said, we have Mercury in that position now, but Venus is going to pop through it later. And if you're not feeling it with Mercury, you'll probably feel it a lot with Venus, because again, Venus is our love, our beauty, our connection with others. And so Venus opposing this may create an even sort of deeper feeling of restriction or loss or sadness as it moves through Cancer and touches that point, opposing all of that stellium, which will happen later on. So I think I've really touched on so many of the main planets, and it can be interesting to look at these little asteroids and how they influence things as well. So we have Vesta. Vesta in mythology is the sister of Zeus, who forgoes marriage in order to focus on this spiritual connection. It's the goddess of this purifying fire within us. And whatever Vesta touches, it brings us to focus even deeper upon. So Vesta is investing us right now in Cancer as well with Mercury. And this can perhaps be a very inspiring time to work on something creative, because Cancer is about creativity, or it can be an inspiring time to build a stronger connection with somebody in your family, or somebody who's like your soul family, because Cancer is also about family. And Vesta is there kind of holding it down in that T-square as well. Juno. Don't do that, computer. Juno is opposed Mars. So Juno indicates marriages and relationships, and yeah, it doesn't quite make a cardinal cross if you included Juno, because it does and it doesn't, right? Because they're out of phase in exactness of the degree, but there is aspects between all of them. And so Juno opposed Mars can mean that it's a hard time for relationships. And that influence will continue as Mars and Juno work out their sort of opposition with each other. So that does mean that this Mars retrograde is a powerful time to contemplate relationships as well, and to sort of, consider, are you really available for those sorts of things? And, what energy needs to transform. If you're already in a relationship, it's a powerful time to, understand this balance between self and other, because Aries Mars is like really pushing this individuality and this selfhood, and Juno in Libra, it's almost like, I almost consider that domicile, because Juno and Libra have a lot in common. It's like giving yourself to relationship fully. Libra wants to make everything happy and well for the other. So it's about learning how you can both meet your needs and meet the needs of the other. And that energy is highlighted right now in personal life through that opposition. What are some other interesting aspects? So with all of this, again, Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, restructuring our power dynamics in our world. And it's interesting, we have Pallas Athena, which is like the intellect, and also the intellect search for justice that's a little bit behind that. So what that means is, like, for me, I interpret this as there's all these changes happening in the world and our power systems and structures, and we somehow get it, but we don't at the same time. Like, the mind, this intellectual part of it, is behind all of the big planets. And so when Pallas Athene moves through and past those signs, other planets rather, it'll kind of be the moments we actually get and understand what has happened. But until it passes over, it may be still kind of confusing, and like, all of this transformation is happening, but what does it really mean? How do I make sense of it? What's my role in it? And what other thing to say about asteroids and minor planets playing out? Varun. That's an asteroid that I don't know that much about. I haven't worked with it that much, but it is in between the Sun and Mercury and Vesta, so it's conjunct all of them. It kind of unites them. And Varun, it gets its name from an Indian god of the sea and of creation. And over time throughout history, Varun was kind of replaced in creation story mythologies by other beings, though it does add to this full moon's aspect of being highly creative. There's a lot pointing to using this time to be creative and using the spontaneous transformation. If you just tapped into the video, the first thing we really talked about was that there is a revelation of what has been unconscious for some time through this full moon, and there is perhaps a sudden, unexpected transformation or almost a shock with Uranus making the T-Square. So creative energy is expanded, and we need to remember in this time that we are powerful creators, and we can transform through our creation, and especially when our creation is dedicated in service to others. Because again, 11, and there's 11 viewers right now, so we're talking about the 11 degrees of this. It's 1111 portal, being of service and serving the collective evolution. And Aquarius is very much about that as well. We have the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in 1 degree Aquarius in the beginning of the year. So the Aquarian age is really beginning, and it is a time where we have to take into account the well-being of everyone and everything, and how we can really fit into a new framework of society that serves the best interest of all and not just some. And Aquarius is also about technology, so it is a technological age, and there will be some stunning technological innovations around this time and that conjunction in December. So, okay, opening the comments now. How do I open the comments, guys? How do I open the comments? I don't know how. Rotate your vice. Okay. Maybe if I write a comment, I can see the comments. Oh, okay. What does this mean for those with their moon in Aquarius? Well, it means that this moon is going to be an emotional home run, and it will bring a lot of your own inner emotional workings to the surface. It depends the degree of Aquarius. If it's around, I would say if it's between 1 and 20 degrees, it is more impacted than if it's in the last decan. and there can be some sudden emotional insights. Anyone have? So as I said, if you send your chart in the comments, I can see how this may connect with your chart. US apparently wants to ban TikTok, which is a game changer in the social. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, that definitely connects with the Capricorn degrees of like our restrictions on freedom and the power struggles playing out. And yeah, we will see more of that. I don't know what to say particularly about the TikTok thing. I've not used it. It seemed like something that would consume a lot of my time. I have to get on a different call in 15 minutes, so if nobody has anything to ask about their own chart, I think I'm going to call it in for this little full moon update. You can watch the replay, it'll be on my YouTube channel. And yeah, I think that's it for now. Love you guys very much. So I'm available for readings, and you can contact me if you want to take a deeper look at your own chart. And please share this video around, share the channel around, especially now Facebook is making it harder for my stuff to reach people through my own page. So it really helps people when I share. I love you too. I appreciate you too. I love you all. Yeah, I appreciate it when you share it because it then allows it to reach more people. And what else is going on? Gonna launch a Reiki class next month. And yeah, making the best of this pretty psychotic time on the planet. Feels a little bit kind of lonely time in a sense, but very productive Capricorn energy. The positive aspect, if you don't focus on how the Capricorn energy is being oppressive in the collective, you can use the Capricorn energy to expand your own productivity and get things done. And with a lot of planets in Capricorn, I'm kind of good at that at the moment. But anyway, okay, I'm going to sign off because I have to do the call for my channeling course. So I love you all. Bye bye.